So everybody, welcome back to the Stacey West preview show. My name is Jake, as always, and we're back for another Sky Bet League One preview as Mark Kennedy takes his Lincoln City side to Burton Albion on Boxing Day. Before we do get started with today's preview, I'd just like to wish you all a very happy Christmas. I hope you and all your family have a wonderful day and enjoy the holidays. But the real stuff is back on Boxing Day. So I've sat down with Ed Walker from the D3 D4 Football Podcast to talk all things Brewers. Take it away, Ed. Right, so what better way to get a win at the Pirelli than to speak to Ed Walker? Ed, how are you?
Inevitable, isn't it? I'm all right, Jake. Yourself?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. Thank you very much. Thank you for coming on yet again. I think last time you came on, though, Ed, you were pretty happy after the game, weren't you? Beat us 2-1.
Yeah, that was a nice win at Central Bank. I'd like it to be returned the other way with a home victory as well, but Lincoln's still a team I dread playing. There's something about you lot that you seem to just love enjoying playing us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Don't know what it is. Since you come back up under the Cowleys, I've just hated the Lincoln games every time.
Right then, let's talk about Brewers and Ed. Obviously, 23rd in Sky Bet League One at the minute. Not looking too good. What's the general vibe around the Pirelli? What's the crack?
Around the fan base, it's not great. It's a big worry that the few players that are here that are dependable and important could be gone by the end of the January window. There's a lot of fear with that. People like Victor Adebioye playing up top, Terry Taylor in midfield, Sam Hughes at the back. I think there's an acceptance that they are going to go at some point because that's what happens. You don't keep these kind of players forever. But there's a bit of worry that they're going to leave in January, which we've seen happen to Burton last couple of seasons where they've lost significant people right at the end of the window, so you've got no time left to replace them. And I think there's a bit of fear that could happen again. If it does, it dooms them, really. Because that short-term challenge of getting a replacement just is really difficult to do.
And what have you sort of thought? Obviously, you've had a managerial change so far this year. Jimmy Floyd was relieved of his duties. Dino's stepped up. And to be fair to him, he's won a point a game, which over 46 games would have kept you up last year. But I just have a feeling it's not going to be enough if he keeps that mantra up towards the end of the season. But seems to be doing well, doesn't he?
It's an undoubted improvement. I mean, anything was. It was 1 point in the first 7 games. I think we shipped nearly 20-plus goals in about 7 games. We were on track to let in, I think after that final game we had a defeat to Oxford, I think we're on track to let in 132 across the entire season, which would have been a bit heavy. He has definitely improved things, but it's a bit more a positive setup. There's people in more comfortable positions as well, which is always what you wanted. You're not seeing Cameron Borthwick-Jackson getting deployed regularly in midfield when he's naturally a fullback, for instance. So there is a bit more sense in the lineup there. There's just a little bit of concern that there's not much in the front line outside of Adebioye, who's having a very good season with 10 goals already this season. I think it's 12 in all competitions. The front line around him is made up of 3 agents, which has had to happen because there were so few numbers at the end of the transfer window. So he's had to delve into the free market. And naturally, when you do that, you pick up people who you look at and think they could offer something, but you don't trust the fitness. And that's what we're finding here. So I think we look at this January window thinking we need to strengthen in wide areas and get some consistently good players as well. And then maybe we can have a go at it. But I think we certainly look at the record at the Pirelli that we've had. We're unbeaten there since the end of October. It's a decent run to have. I mean, there's been no league wins in that time, but there have been decent points with some top sides at the Pirelli, and that feels like where the bulk of the points are going to come this season, if we'll get any.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. Obviously, your last result on Saturday, you were one of the fortunate ones to have your game on. You might argue that it wasn't fortunate, but you made the trip up to Oakwell, probably the most informed team in the division at the minute, Barnsley under Michael Duff. You came away with a 2-0 loss, but from the stats, I mean, we said before we came on, it looks a bit more even than what you maybe suggested.
I would say it probably looked more even when it was already 2-0. That was a very comfortable win for Barnsley in the end. That Burton didn't offer a lot in the. I think the spell of possession they probably had was at the start of the second half, and it was 1-0, but it was all within their own half. There was a real reluctance to just get the ball into the box, and that was incredibly frustrating. I didn't expect anything from that. Barnsley, as you say, form side, 4th in the league. You kind of wonder, could they maybe pursue that top 3 if they keep this momentum up to the going? They're a very good side. So I didn't expect anything from that. It was a very disappointing performance on the day. You expect to be a bit more competitive than they ended up being. But I think there was a little bit of an overreaction, I think, to that defeat because it had been the first league defeat since October. and it was to a very good side. And I think some people kind of lost a bit of faith because of it, which didn't feel right to me. You know, we're not going to play teams to advance every week, so there is some hope still.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. And obviously, by the time this game comes around, we'll be very close to the January window opening. I know you spoke about departures potentially. I assume you're talking about Victor Abayeho. Terry Taylor might be one. Is it Terry Taylor might be one that goes out.
Yeah.
Joe Power might be one that goes out. What do you think this Burton team need in terms of incomings? Are you expecting a really busy window? Because I remember the season we got to the playoffs, that January was mental for you, wasn't it? And you turned it around. Are you expecting something similar under Dino?
I don't know what the budget is. I don't think any of us know. You know, it was certainly surprised what happened. It was needed 2 years ago, and it did end up working out. But I don't know if the money's there to do the same thing. I mean, there was a fee that Burton got for Gaston Hadme, who was sold on deadline day in the summer window. It was a low six-figure fee, I think. I don't know if any of that's left, where that money's gone, certainly. So I wouldn't expect anything like last time again. But I think in terms of positions, I want a competent left back, a natural left back that gives me some confidence. I mean, we do have Fraser Blake Tracy out on loan at Swindon at the minute, who I'd still like to kind of see if we could bring back and give a proper go to, because it just didn't work under Hasselbank. I don't know what it was, whether he's playing at less centre back or a wing back, he wasn't suiting. So I'd quite like to see if Dino can get some good things out of him, because he has out some players. And then, as I say, we need another striker I can trust the fitness to be the backup to Adebayo, or the alternative replacement as well. Maybe dip into the loan market and get some players, because some of these loan guys haven't really been able to find the fitness to play. Elliot Thorpe, for example, who's on loan to Luton, barely been able to feature. And then strengthen the wings as well. I think in midfield we're good. I think in defence we have the options, but we just need a front line that gives me a bit of confidence, can hold on to the ball and stop it being given back to the opposition all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. Looks like a bit of a rebuild then for Dino in the summer.
Well, he was dealt a bad. The problem was this is part of the reason that I sympathise with him, because he was dealt a bad hand. You go back right to the end of the window, before Hasselbank resigned. We had a guy in Gaston Hadme who was in pretty good form. He was looking good, Nick, getting better and better. I think he got a brace in the defeat at Cambridge. He got a brace in the EFL Trophy as well. He was our top scorer at the time on 5. Sold to Ipswich on deadline day for, I think, about 100,000. I don't know. It was an undisclosed fee, but it's believed to be a low six-figure fee. So the frustration of that, you're left with 2 recognised strikers in Louis Moult and Victor Adebayo. Moult gets loaned to Motherwell the day after. But to be fair, it was a sign that never worked. But you're left with just Adebayo, who at the time had a terrible track record. Now, Dino's done great things with him, but he's had to play him because there's no alternative. So he has had to make do with limited frontline options, and he's done as well as he can. But I still don't think this group right now has enough bad to get out the bottom 4. We need to work on it.
Yeah, definitely worrying times then for Burton. We'd like to take a look at the last time the two teams met, which is not something I was overly keen to do. Obviously, you mentioned it earlier at Central Bank. I believe we went 1-0 up, didn't we? Was it John Marquis scored?
Yeah,
one of those
cross went all the way across, and everyone completely missed it apart from him.
Yeah, and it was. I can just remember it was when Marquis was on that really hot scoring streak for us when he first signed. But you guys came roaring back and probably deserved the win. I would probably, from what I can remember. What can you remember from that 2-1 victory?
I remember
apart from knowing that you were coming back on the podcast, obviously.
I remember it feeling quite even. It was a relief, because I've not enjoyed linking games at all since we started playing you lot again. You felt like you've always carried the momentum for me, especially under the Cowleys, and I never really enjoyed playing it. So that was nice to get a win, and a goal to Sam Hughes as well, who's been our most consistent defender all the time, and he's so integral to us. I really can't put words. You know exactly what you're getting. You're getting a solid, rock solid performance. And he tries to offer the threat he can from set pieces. And on that occasion, he got a goal. He got one against Bolton as well earlier in the season as well. He wants to add more to it, because he's always the target of set pieces. Normally played to the back post and he'll head it back across for someone else to get onto. But on this occasion, he powers in the header. I do seem to remember watching back on the highlights. I think one of your players tries to claim he was put on the floor in the build-up to it. He kind of ends up getting a 3-header somehow, which is not what you want to do against him. So that was nice to come away from Central Bank, actually, with the victory for a change. And I remember you had your fan zone outside the stand as well, it was quite nice walking through that, knowing you got the winning feeling behind you as well.
Yeah, well, no one this season has been able to do that, so treasure that whilst you've got it. Obviously, Ed, you're in charge of the D3, D4. You do your stuff about Lincoln. How you sort of been thinking about us so far this year? Better, obviously, than last year.
Yeah.
I don't know if you were able to catch up with the result that we got against Southampton on on Tuesday
Yeah,
night.
that was a shame. That, although they should have won by more than they did. I can't believe some of the chances they missed.
Well, I'll tell you about the first goal, and then obviously we had a handball disallowed, which I can tell you off when we're done. But have you been impressed with Mark Kennedy so far this year? We've got some really good results, and
I have. Lincoln were really Lincoln. I think were one no one could make their mind up on pre-season. I saw some people think they'd go down. I saw some people think they'd be in the middle. I think I had you guys in the middle because I was keen on Mark Kennedy actually from his time at Macclesfield. Now Macclesfield was a poison chalice. That was such a mess of a club. He had such a torrid time. My legacy of Mark Kennedy, to be honest, from that time at Macclesfield was he had Shiloh Tracy, who was on loan from Tottenham at the time. And I remember a game, I think it was against Northampton, where he subbed him on and then took him back off because he was so appalled with his positioning. That's my legacy of him. So I've always thought quite good. And I like you guys have done it. I've seen other clubs do the same. You're bringing in people who maybe don't have that lot of managerial experience, but are clearly good coaches, have a good coaching pedigree. Just got to build that managerial experience up. And I think you guys have been really good. I don't think you particularly stand out. I mean, your record against Sheffield Wednesday, Plymouth and Ipswich has been pretty good. That's worth shouting about. Certainly taking, was it 5 points? I think it was in the end, or was it 7?
5 points. Yeah, win at Ipswich and draw against Wednesday.
So you're ticking along just fine. And I think compared to some people who may have carried a bit of concerns, I don't think they're there anymore. So I'm not surprised to see you guys in the middle of the pack, and hopefully you prove some of your doubters wrong so far this season.
And leading on to Saturday, and obviously you mentioned that we've got a good record at the Pro League. Won there last year, won there the COVID season, won there the season before. Are you expecting this to play out, Ed? Apart from the obvious.
I hope we can keep the unbeaten record. I mean, it's been all draws for us at the minute. Sometimes we've held on. We've had to concede late goals. Sometimes we've got late goals ourselves. I think it's points with Charlton, Ipswich, and
Argyle.
That's me by the top of my head. Argyle, yes, not Ipswich. Sorry, Argyle. Charlton and Argyle have been the points so far. So it's been okay. I'm in a situation where I'll happily take a point with you guys. I'm just very scared of Jack Diamond for quite obvious reasons. I think he's an absolutely quality player. And I remember seeing that signing thinking this could be good. And then he gets the hatch against Bristol Rovers and you said, yep. There you go. He is good. He is good. And I'm quite keen on Danny Monjoy as well, actually. I've liked the look of him when I've seen him too.
Absolutely. Yeah, scored a winner away at Barnsley as well, which will tell you everything you need to know. Right, Ed, score prediction. I know you said a draw. You think it... I think you're probably going to score, but you're probably going to go for a 1-1, 2-2.
I'm going to go 2-2. I'm going to go 2-2. Have a high scoring one.
That'd be a nice Boxing Day game.
It's all about how you guys can handle set pieces because we will fly that ball into the box every opportunity. And if you can hold it back, you'll get the win.
Yeah, well, we repelled James Ward-Prowse on Tuesday night, so fingers crossed we can deal with what you've got to deal with. Ed, please plug your work that you do over at D3D4 because I know you're very popular, and just please tell the people that what you guys do over there.
Yeah, so I work as the host of D3D4 Football. We're on every Sunday normally. It'll be a little bit different over this Christmas period, but we look to provide coverage to both League One and League Two and give some love to the pair of leagues that probably are starting to get more mainstream attention, I think, but we still want more from it. We want everyone knowing about them because, as you know yourself, these leagues are a blast. They're so entertaining from top to bottom. The playoff race this year is great. The promotion race in League One is great. The relegation battle, it's still the same 4 teams. It has been for a while, but it looks like one of Forest Green or Milton Keynes could potentially overtake Cambridge anytime soon. So it's a lot of great fun following it throughout the season.
Yeah, well, thanks for coming on again, Ed, and we'll see you towards the end of the season, no doubt.
Sure thing.
A huge thank you to Ed for coming back on the Stacey West Preview Show. As always, you can check out his work with the D3D4 podcast. There's a link in the description. So please do go and check them out because they do some really good coverage of League One and League Two every week. That does bring another episode of the Stacey West Preview Show to a conclusion. Thank you very much for watching and sticking around to the end. Please do like, comment and subscribe as we are trying to reach 1,000 subscribers on the channel as soon as possible. It would be massively appreciated by myself and the rest of the team here at the Stacey West. So until next time, we will see you later and up the imps.